This is the most important thing to know when you're studying English. It is proper pronunciation, and to pronounce things properly, you have to know about the stress. My name is Kay, your English teacher with ISpeakSpokeSpoken. Now let's get started with the video. The important thing to remember about understanding the stress is that it can affect whether or not someone understands what you're saying. As native speakers, we know where the stress goes in every word. So if we hear someone who is studying English say a word, but they put the stress on the wrong place, we may not understand them. For example, in the word computer, the stress goes on the second syllable. You can see it here in the phonetic transcription, but we've also spelled it like this to make it a bit easier to visualize as well. We have a stress on this part, pew, computer. If someone says computer, we're probably not going to understand what that person means. And in general, words that are 2 syllables or more will have a specific place where the stress goes. Now, this can be a little bit different between American English and British English, so it's important to really pay attention to native speakers to understand some of the differences. And without a proper stress placement, there is no good pronunciation. So remember, if you want to be understood in speaking, you must know where the stress goes. Not only is stress important for saying a word properly, but sometimes the word can be spelled the same way, but have a stress in different places, which changes the meaning of the word. For example, this word. We can use it as a noun if we put the stress on the first syllable. If I say record, you know that I am referring to this word as a noun. It is the big black disc that we can listen to music from. But if I say this word with a stress on the second syllable, record, then I'm using this word as a verb. I'm recording a video. I'm recording a song. So this is another place where the stress is really important. Not only can it affect whether or not someone understands the word you're saying, but it can also affect whether someone understands which form of the word you're using, the noun or the verb. So if you're wondering, how can I identify the stress? The most important tip that I have for you is to listen to native speakers. Listen to music, watch movies, watch English videos like this one. For example, if you look at this word, do you know where to put the stress? There's a lot of syllables here. But if you listen to someone like me say it, you'll know that we put the stress here on the second syllable. Photography, photography. Now this could get a little tricky later because this word, when we change the ending, can appear in different forms and the stress may change. Remember, knowing where to place the stress is important because it can change the meaning of the word or it can change whether or not someone understands what you're trying to say. All right, now let's take a look at some really important examples. The first one is television. Now, we put phonetic transcriptions in all of the videos to help you, and if you look where this little apostrophe is, the apostrophe shows you where the stress goes. So if the apostrophe is here in front of the first syllable, you know that you must stress the first syllable. An easy way to look at it is here we put the stressed syllable in capital letters. As it's normally spelled, just like this, we're not changing the case of the letters. But for practicing, let's break it down here. Television has a stress on the first syllable. Television, television. And the next one, where does the stress go? Good. There is the apostrophe in front of this syllable here. And again, if we're looking at our capital letters, we've got it on the may sound. Information, information. If we're looking at the word normally, none of the other letters are in capital. But again, to help you, once again, say it with me. Information, information. And next we have beautiful. The apostrophe showing us that we've got a stress on the first syllable, shown here, nice and easy, capital letters. First syllable gets the stress. Beautiful, beautiful. Once again, beautiful. In conversation, we've got a stress here on the say sound. Conversation. Now you might notice in the phonetic transcriptions, we have the apostrophe to show us where the main stress is going, the primary stress. But do you notice some other apostrophes? They're down here at the bottom. in some of the words. If you see an apostrophe down at the bottom, this is the secondary stress. If this is too much to remember at the beginning, just focus on the primary stress. That's the most important. But if you want to really master proper pronunciation, then you'll want to be sure that you're practicing the secondary stress as well. Listen carefully. Information. Information. Again, the primary stress is here on the may, but the secondary stress, a more subtle stress, is on the first syllable. Information. And again, here with conversation, we have a secondary stress on the first syllable, conversation. Now again, pay attention to the primary stress. But if you're feeling like you've mastered it, then you can also focus on the secondary stress. Now let's look at the next one. Economy has a stress on the second syllable. We've got the big letters here to make it nice and easy. Economy, economy. And here, stress on this vowel, big O here to show you, geography, geography. Once again, geography. And down here at the bottom, we've got stress on the first syllable, history, history. And next we have a stress on the second syllable in biology, biology. You might notice this is similar to geography or economy. Often words that are used for fields of study will have this kind of a stress pattern, but again, like the tip I gave you at the beginning, it's always important to listen to native speakers because sometimes the rules will be a little bit different. And next we have mathematics. We've got the primary stress here on the ma part and the secondary soft subtle stress in the beginning. So when I say this word, it's mathematics, mathematics. And next we have photograph. Remember in the beginning, we have photography, which is similar to this word, but there's a different form of it with a different stress placement. Here, the word photograph has a stress on the first syllable. Photograph, photograph. And next we have research with a stress on the first syllable. Something interesting to note about this word and its stress is that in American English, most often we put the stress on the first syllable, research, and we can use this word as a verb and as a noun. For example, this is my body of research, or I am researching something. But in British English, they usually put the stress on the second syllable. Sometimes in American English, you will hear people putting the stress on the second syllable, but most often, it's on the first syllable, like research. And next we have understand, with the primary stress here and the secondary stress in the beginning. Understand, understand. And next we have development, with a stress on the second syllable. Development, development. Once again, development. And next we have environment, with a stress on the second syllable. Environment, environment. And next we have decide with a stress on the second syllable. Decide, decide. So knowing where to put the stress is really important to have proper pronunciation because you can't have proper pronunciation if you don't put the stress in the right place. Now that applies to words. We can also apply the stress to sentences. Sometimes which word we stress in a sentence or where we put the emphasis will draw our attention to a certain part of the sentence, which can indicate the importance of what we're saying and sometimes change the meaning. So that's why it's really important to pay attention to stresses in sentences. For example, if I say, I love eating apples, I'm emphasizing the feeling that I have about apples. I'm emphasizing this word because the feeling is important. Now, if I say, I love apples, and I put the stress on the apples, then I'm drawing your attention to the apples. And that's different because in this sentence, I'm putting the emphasis on the feeling. Imagine you're having a conversation with friends. Someone says, I like apples, and I respond, I love apples. Why am I stressing that word? Because I'm stressing the feeling. I'm stressing that my feeling about apples is stronger than what my friend feels about apples. Or if we look at this example, she's going home tomorrow. We're putting the stress on home. She's going home tomorrow. So we're drawing your attention to this part of the sentence, home. I'm not drawing your attention to she. I'm not drawing your attention to tomorrow. I'm drawing your attention to home. Now, if I say she's going home tomorrow, if I put the stress on she, it means I am emphasizing that person. Imagine you're having a discussion and saying, oh yes, I think somebody is going home tomorrow. I don't know who. When I say she's going home tomorrow, I'm putting the emphasis on her. It means I am responding to that confusion and clarifying. But this sentence is putting the emphasis on home. For example, someone might say, oh, I think she's going to a party tomorrow. I say, no, she's going home tomorrow. So oftentimes we can put stresses on particular words in sentences, especially if we are correcting someone, clarifying something, or even contradicting someone. Okay, now tips for improvement, because remember, without proper stress, there's no proper pronunciation, and I want you to have proper pronunciation. So tip number 1, listen to native speakers. Listen to me, listen to Dan, listen to movies, listen to podcasts. This is going to really help you remember where to put the stress on words in the right place. And the next tip is record yourself. Record yourself saying the words that I've done in this video, and then listen back, compare. Does it sound exactly the same? Are you putting the stress on the same part of the word that I'm putting the stress? Does your stress sound the same as my stress? So again, record yourself and compare. And another fun tip is to practice with poems and songs. So practicing with songs is really fun because if they're native speakers, then you can try really hard to say the words at the same time and the same pace as them, and putting the stress on the correct word or the correct word in a sentence or a lyric or a verse. And you can also practice with poems. There are plenty of recordings of poets reading their poems the way that they intended for them to sound. It's one thing to read poetry, but to listen to poetry and also practice by reciting poetry along with the poet is a fantastic way to practice, and I highly recommend that one. And last but not least, use phonetics. Throughout the video, in the slides, we put words in red letters with funny little symbols on them, and I've drawn your attention to the most important things in phonetic transcriptions here. The stress. Remember, the apostrophe at the top means the main stress, and the apostrophe at the bottom means the secondary stress. Again, if you're just beginning mastering your stress, focus on the main stress. That's the most important. And then when you get more comfortable, also start to focus on the secondary stress. So keep these tips in mind, and don't forget to click up in the corner to download the slides and take the free quiz at the end. My name's Kay, your English teacher with ISpeakSpokeSpoken, and I hope to see you next time. Bye.